Aloha, Ellie, Memphis, and Piper. I have a story for you. I didn't do a very good job recording it this time. It's called A Lei for Tutu by Rebecca Nevers Fellows and illustrated by Linda Finch. It has really pretty pictures, so you're going to have to go to the library since my camera work wasn't very good this time. May 1st in Hawaii is Lei Day. So it isn't May, but we can pretend it is. That it's nice and warm and where you can smell the flowers and dream of Hawaii. So anyways, love you guys. Here's the story. Neoa's eyes flew open. She lay still for a moment, feeling the trade winds blow soft and warm through her window. She smiled as she watched a gecko scamper across her wall. I get to work with Tutu at her lei stand today, she said, remembering we'll finish planning her lei for the Lei Day contest. It'll be her most nani lei yet. She got dressed. Neoa thought of last year's Lei Day festival. Mrs. Silva and Mrs. Kea, who owned the lei stands right next to Tutu's, had entered their best lei. Tutu had made a beautiful lei, all shades of red, but the judges had pinned the mayor's grand prize ribbon next to Mrs. Kea's lei. Tutu and Neoa had been so disappointed. Neoa knew this year would be different. She pictured the flowers they would use in the shiny green and gently fragrant maile. She could clearly see that Neoa had been so disappointed. Neoa knew this year would be different. She pictured the flowers they would use in the shiny green and gently fragrant maile. She could clearly see the puakalauna, a favorite of Queen Liliuokalani. She could even see the waileika, small blue violets loved by the paniolo, those Hawaiian cowboys. Neoa raced to the kitchen for a breakfast of poi and banana. She knew Tutu Pualani would be sipping her coffee. A bright red hibiscus blossoms tucked behind her ear. She'd be wearing her favorite muumuu, all swirls of blue and green in her bright smile. Yet Neoa found only her mother and her uncle Keawe at the table, speaking in low voices. Her mother was crying. "It's Tutu, Neoa," Uncle Keawe said. "Our heart's gone sick. Her heart's gone sick, and she's in the hospital." "Her heart? How could Tutu Pualani's big, warm heart get sick? I want to see her, Mama," Neoa cried. "Please." Uncle Keawe looked at Mama. "I'll get the truck," he said. Neoa sat between her Uncle Keawe and Mama on the ride to the hospital. Mama patted her hand. "Tutu will be all right," she said. At the hospital, Neoa stepped through the door and Mama opened for her. Tutu lay very still, eyes closed. Long gray hair fanned out onto her pillow. Tubes connected her to a humming machine. "Tutu?" Neoa whispered. The old woman's eyes opened and she turned her head toward them. "Aloha, my punahele. You've come to visit me." Neoa ran to hug her grandmother. "How's my lei stand?" Tutu asked. "I'm going to help Cousin Malina there every afternoon." Tutu smiled. "I'm sorry we won't be making our Lei Day lei." "It would have been beautiful, Tutu," said Neoa. For a moment, Tutu's eyes brightened. Her voice sounded strong. "The way we planned to use the waioleka and the puakalauna would have been so striking. It would have been my best lei yet, I'm sure of it." "Enough talk about lei," Mama said to Tutu. "You need to rest." For the next week, Mama spent every day with Tutu. After school, Neoa would race home and ask, "How is she today?" And Mama would answer, "Still not so good, Neoa." But that changed each evening at visiting hours when Neoa burst through Tutu's door. "What lei did you make today?" Tutu would ask excitedly. "Is Malina buying only the best flowers? Are the plumeria blossoms very fresh?" Then visiting hours would end, and as Neoa watched sadly, Tutu would sink back quietly onto her pillow. One evening on the drive home, Neoa had an idea. "Tutu should be making lei." "What?" Mama asked, surprised. "Tutu needs to make lei," Neoa repeated. "It would make her happy again." You can't be serious, Neoa, Mama said sternly. Tutu needs lots of rest, not to be making lei. I just think, Neoa, said Mama. You think you know more than Dr. Ramos what Tutu needs? Neoa folded her arms across her chest. Yes, she said so softly no one heard her. The next day at the lei stand, Malina put Neoa to work. The Vanda orchids are in the red box in the refrigerator, Neoa, she said. Use them to string more lei. Near the Vandas were boxes filled with maile, pucalaunang, and waioleka. Why, these are all Tutu's lei day flowers. Neoa had another idea. For the rest of the day, as Neoa strung lei, she kept a basket near her feet. Anytime she came upon an especially pretty blossom or piece of greenery, she would sneak it into the basket. What are you doing there, Neoa? Malina asked her once, eyes narrowed. Oh, nothing, Malina, said Neoa. Just finishing up one last lei. At the end of the day, Neoa's basket was filled with beautiful flowers and greens that Tutu liked best. While Malina locked up, Neoa hurried her treasure to the truck. What's all this? Asked Uncle Keawe. It's for Tutu, Neoa said, but I need your help. In a little while they were on their way to the hospital. Ah, Neoa, I shouldn't be doing this. Your mother will be so angry with me, Uncle Keawe said. But Neoa's mind was made up. Tomorrow was lei day. She had to get the flowers to Tutu. In the hospital room, Neoa called softly, Tutu, it's Neoa. Tutu Pualani opened her eyes. Tutu, look what we've brought you. Neoa held out the basket. She pulled back the damp newspaper she had used to keep the flowers fresh. The blossoms glistened, their fragrance filling the room. Tutu sat straight up, her eyes sparkled. Neoa, you have brought the flowers for our lei. They immediately set to work, Tutu sewing and Neoa handing her the blossoms. So intent were they on the lei, they didn't hear the door open. Dr. Ramos looked surprised. He placed his stethoscope on Tutu's chest, moving it from here to there. All at once a grin broke across his face. That's a beautiful lei, Pualani, he said, and winked at Neoa. I'm glad to see you so happy again. Neoa smiled, for Tutu's face glowed as it used to. Why, we may even have to let you go home. Once the lei is all pau, said Uncle Keawe. I have an important delivery to make. On lei day, Uncle Keawe drove Mama, Tutu, and Neoa to Kapiolani Park. The big Hawaiian sun shone brightly on all the festivities. Women pounded bark for kapa cloth, while girls in tea-leaf skirts danced the hula. Ancient Hawaiian chants and music filled the air. All the beautiful lei were hung, waiting to be judged. Neoa saw Mrs. Silva's lei and Mrs. Kea's lei. There's Tutu's lei, said Uncle Keawe, pointing. Why, what's this? Exclaimed Mama, turning to Neoa. It's a surprise, Mama. Yes, dear, said Tutu. Please don't be angry with Neoa. Hush, said Uncle Keawe. The judges are coming. Neoa held her breath. The judges walked by Mrs. Silva's lei. They stopped. They walked to Mrs. Kaye's lei. They wrote in their notebooks. Gathered before Tutu's lei and whispered to each other. Then they pinned the mayor's grand prize right next to Tutu Pualani's lei. Tutu, exclaimed Neoa, you did it! Tutu Pualani turned to Neoa, her smile brighter than the sun. No, my punahele, she said, we did it together.